Hey, have you moved out of US and you are not a US citizen or a green card holder and are still earning income from US stocks, interest, royalties? You might be losing up to 30% withholding taxes unnecessarily. In this video, I'm going to talk about W8BEN form, why it is important, and a step-by-step instructions on how to fill the form so that it can help you to reduce the US tax withholding based on India-US tax treaty. Let's dive in. So what is form W8BEN and why you need it? This form certifies that you are a non-resident alien for US tax purpose. It tells US institutions like brokerage firms, platforms to apply reduced withholding based on your tax treaty. Without it, the default 30% tax is withheld from your US sourced income. This applies to US stocks, dividends, interests, royalties, affiliate or creator income, as well as the bank interest. So let's take a real world example. You moved back to India, but you still own US stocks. Without W8BEN, the custodian or the broker would withhold 30% of your capital gains when you sell the stocks. With W8BEN, and based on the US India treaty, the capital gains on the public traded stocks are exempt from US tax withholding. So the US custodian would not be withholding any taxes for the capital gains that you have on your stocks. This is a form to keep more money of what you earn. Let's look at the India-US tax treaty for some of this income. Capital gains, it's often not taxable in US for Indian residents, especially if the gains are from publicly traded securities. Interest income, it's capped at 15% withhold instead of 30%. Dividends, usually taxed at 25% instead of 30%. These benefits are claimed by filing the Form W8BEN properly. Now, let's talk through step-by-step guide in how to fill the form W8BEN. This is the W8BEN form. And in part 1, you would be entering your personal information, your first name, last name, country of citizenship. Here I used India, and the permanent resident in India. So this includes your town, state, country, and if the mailing address is different from your permanent address, you would fill in that. In field 5, you would be entering your social security number or ITIN number. And in field 6, this is your foreign tax identification number. If you're living in India and if you're an Indian citizen, you would be entering your Indian PAN number here. And you can leave the field 6B and 7 blank, and 8 is your date of birth. Part 2 is the critical one. You certify that you are a resident of India if you're living in India, and the treaty between India and US. So this is the treaty that's between India and US, which I will share the link in the description below. And you have these different articles that talks about how the tax withholding has to be between US and India for dividends, for interest, and so on. So in this example, I'm filling it for dividends. And for that, you would be specifying Article 10, paragraph 2. So if you go to dividend section, you would be referring to Article 10, paragraph 2 and B, which basically tell the custodian that you need to withhold only 25% and not 30%. And that's a treaty between US and India. And you would be explaining the type of income you have, which is the dividends. So for capital gains, it's Article 13 and the tax withholding will be 0%. For interest income, it's Article 11, paragraph 2B, and the withholding is 15%. In the case of dividends, it's Article 10, paragraph 2B, and the withholding is 25%. If it's a 401k fund periodic withdrawal, then it's Article 20 and it's 0% tax, which is generally exempt. Hope this helps for the different sources of income and what articles to be used while filling the part 2 of the form. Once you completed the form, you would certify with your signature, name, and date, and you would be submitting this form to the custodian directly. Now that we went through the details on how the form will be filled, let's understand some important points. The form is valid for up to 3 years from the end of the year it is signed. So if you sent the W8BEN form in May 2024, it is valid till 2028 December. And you need to submit the form again. You would be submitting the form to the broker or the platform, and you won't be submitting to the IRS. Next, most brokerage forms like Charles Schwab, Fidelity allow digital submission and keep a copy for your own records. So in summary, W8BEN form helps not to have additional tax withholding with any custodian or broker. It is essential if you're earning US income while living abroad and you're not a US citizen or a green card holder. When you're filling the form, double check the treaties again, as these treaties can change, making sure you are quoting the right treaties when you're submitting the form. Also ensure the details in the form are correct. And if for some reason you move back to US from abroad and become a resident again, you will need to update your tax status with the platform or the custodian. If this helped you, give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone who is earning from US while living abroad. Drop a comment if you'd like to walk through a specific brokerage. Until next time, take care.